Revealed, the divine mystery of 7 miraculous transformations for married women's spiritual journey. In a quaint English village, a weight loomed over Mary, a devoted wife and mother. St. Michael's Church, with its weathered stone and stained glass windows, had long been a beacon of hope. But now, it felt eerily distant. As she tucked her children into bed, Mary gazed out at the church spire rising against the dusky sky. Was God really listening? She couldn't help but feel that the sanctuary, once alive with divine presence, now stood silent and cold. The world felt heavy, pressing down on her ever so firmly. Desperation drove Mary to a prayer group that met in the time-worn fellowship hall, where the air was infused with the scent of incense. Among her fellow parishioners were her childhood friends Sarah and newcomer Rachel, both carrying their own burdens. Their pastor, Father Thomas, shared tales of a promise of 7 miraculous transformations awaiting women yearning for grace. The words felt electrifying, stirring within her a flicker of hope. As they gathered together, the atmosphere began to shimmer with spiritual energy. It was in that sacred space that each woman started to share. Sarah spoke of her struggle with an old grudge that left her feeling shackled. Rachel recounted a sickness that had taken her mother, leaving a void in her heart. And Mary finally opened up about an unkind memory from her childhood that clouded her spirit. With each confession, they felt a release, as if the burdens were slipping away. One evening, as they knelt on the well-worn carpets, a rich presence enveloped them. Suddenly, Sarah gasped. A divine warmth filled the room, washing over them like the first morning rays of sun. In that instant, she felt a lightness she hadn't known in years, healing her heart and lifting the weight of her resentment. It was nothing short of a miracle. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Each meeting brought new wonders and unexpected healing here, a sign of divine intervention there. The once skeptical eyes of their family members were now wide with surprise. Before they knew it, they felt faith being rekindled within them, a flickering flame slowly fanning into a full blaze. Mary began to notice small miracles in her home, a neighbor helping with groceries, a sudden bonus from her husband's work, little blessings that reminded her of the grace surrounding them. Yet, as quickly as their spirits soared, darkness crept back in. Mary's son David fell ill. Panic gripped her heart, knotting it tight. She found herself questioning everything, tossing and turning in her bed at night. Were their prayers enough? Desperate for answers, Mary gathered her friends for a day of fervent prayer at St. Michael's. In the echoing church, the atmosphere thickened with divine energy as their voices joined in unison. It was then that Mary felt something enormous stirring in her heart. Yet, little did she know, a miracle lay just around the corner. As she prayed with every fiber of her being, a warmth enveloped her, thick with the presence of God. And just then, she witnessed David, slipping from his fever's grip, a sign of something grand about to unfold. But was she ready for this calling that felt uniquely hers? A call that would not only spark transformation within her but also reverberate through the entire community? The church bells tolled in the distance as anticipation mingled with fear, leaving her breathless on the edge of the divine mystery yet to unfold. The days that followed David's miraculous recovery were filled with newfound energy for Mary. The lightness in her heart swelled with gratitude, illuminating her path. Each morning, she awoke with a renewed sense of purpose that took her by surprise. It was as if the heaviness that had settled over her life had lifted, making room for joy. Mary found solace in the garden, where the flowers seemed to bloom brighter and the birds chirped melodies that hummed with praise. As she worked the soil, her thoughts drifted to the prophecy Father Thomas had shared. The promise of transformation echoed in her mind. 7 miraculous changes sounded daunting, yet enticing. What could this mean for her life? For her family? The small gathering at the fellowship hall became a sanctuary of shared struggles and breakthroughs. During each meeting, they prayed fervently, sharing their stories of hope and healing. Rachel felt her heart stir anew, drawing strength from the growing bond among the women. They offered each other encouragement, making the burdens feel lighter as they leaned on one another. One evening, Mary felt especially bold. With a swirl of anticipation, she proposed a new idea to the group. "Let us make a commitment," she began, her voice gaining strength. "A commitment to seek transformation not just for ourselves, but for our families and our community. Let us pray for everyone around us." Her words resonated like a bell ringing clear in the stillness of the night. The women nodded in agreement, their eyes sparkling with intent. They designed a plan to pray for their husbands, children, neighbors, and even acquaintances who needed hope. As they committed to this journey together, an electric spirit filled the air, a promise of something wondrous to come. But with that promise came fear. Mary couldn't shake the unease lingering in her heart. What if they weren't enough? What if their prayers went unanswered? Late one night, as she lay in bed, doubt crept in. The darkness felt heavier than it had in weeks. Kneeling beside her bed, she whispered her concerns to God. "Please show me I'm not alone in this." The next day, during a quiet moment in the garden, something remarkable happened. As she dug her hands into the soil, she felt an overwhelming surge of warmth. The sunlight broke through the clouds, bathing her in golden light. And right then, a vivid image sprang into her mind, the image of her grandmother holding her hand in prayer as a child, the air thick with hope and divine assurance. Tears streamed down her face. It was a gentle reminder that God had always been with her, guiding her steps even through the storms. Encouraged by this divine encounter, she gathered the women again. "I felt him today," she said, voice trembling with emotion. "What if we reach beyond our own hearts? What if we pray for divine transformation in our village? Could our faith ripple out to those we don't even know yet?" Their hearts ignited with the idea. This wasn't just about their own lives. It was about touching others, sparking change. They were more than individuals, their spirits intertwined as a tapestry of resilience. As they burst into prayer that evening, a cacophony of hope wrapped around them. And just when they thought they had reached the peak of possibility, the church began to tremble slightly, an unmistakable sign of awakening within the walls of St. Michael's. But what had just begun was only a prelude. The bells began to toll again, but this time, they held a different sound, a beckoning that hinted at a deeper mystery waiting to be unveiled. What new divine unfolding awaited them in the days to come? The following morning was bathed in an ethereal glow, a soft morning light dancing through Mary's kitchen window. As she sipped her tea, the expanse of possibilities danced through her mind. She could sense the change not only within herself but also in the community she cherished. Each fleeting moment of silence spoke of the hope they had ignited together. At the fellowship hall later that day, anticipation hummed in the air. Mary could see the faces of her friends, each one glowing with a spark of determination. "Ladies," she began, feeling a swell of strength, "we've all felt God moving within us. We've tasted that warmth and comfort. What if we put our faith to work? What if we wrote down the names of those we wished to uplift in prayer?" A murmur of excitement swirled through the room. Rachel jumped in, her eyes shining. "Let us create a prayer wall. A space that reminds us of each person's light and the miracles we long to see." The women responded with enthusiasm, brainstorming how to personalize their prayers and uplift each other as spirits. They set to work turning one corner of the hall into their sacred space, attaching notes that bore names and intentions, each piece of paper a link in a chain of faith. The room transformed into a vibrant tapestry of desires and dreams. More than just names, they were stories, lives woven together by the threads of prayer. As they gathered each week, the power of their collective faith became palpable. The prayer wall grew, as testimonies of healing began to trickle in. Mary could hardly contain her joy when David shared how a neighbor, once lost in despair, had found employment, his spirit rekindled through their prayers. Yet, just as this euphoria settled, the subtle whispers of doubt snuck back into Mary's heart. Is this enough? She would sometimes think late at night, staring at the flickering shadows cast by her candle. Can mere words change lives? One night, as she knelt in prayer, asking for guidance and clarity, she paused and listened. The world outside was quiet, but inside her spirit buzzed with urgency. Suddenly, a vision broke through the faces of those they prayed for, illuminated and vibrant. A forgotten spark ignited, reminding her intimately of the power of their faith not merely in silent whispers but in shouted declarations of hope. The next day, with her heart full, Mary felt compelled to approach Father Thomas after the service. I want to understand more about the prophecy you shared, a deeper connection with these transformations we pray for. Father Thomas listened intently, a knowing glimmer in his eye. When you genuinely seek, Mary, God reveals his heart in ways you might not anticipate. Prepare yourself for the unexpected. His words hung with a divine weight. That very evening, as the women gathered before their prayer wall, a soft tremor went through the hall, a reminder of God's presence, as if awakening them to a new height of purpose. What do you think this means? A voice whispered from the crowd. Before Mary could respond, the bells of St. Michael's began to toll again, this time a melodic chorus that pulled them into deeper reverence. Each chime stirred something primal within them, connecting their desires for transformation to a higher calling. Mary felt her heart race with anticipation, as if the very essence of their prayers was being lifted. What is God about to reveal? She wondered, captivated by the mystery that loomed ahead. As they cradled their hopes in collective faith, the moment seemed to hang in the air, a precious pause before the unfolding of divine intentions. Little did they know, the most profound transformation was yet to come. What awaited them beyond the echoes of prayer? The air in the fellowship hall vibrated with expectancy. The bells of St. Michael's had barely stopped ringing, yet the energy lingered, wrapping around Mary like a warm embrace. She glanced at her friends, their faces painted with anticipation, mirroring her own mixed emotions of eagerness and reverence. Ladies, tonight feels different, doesn't it? Mary's voice softened, resonating through the sacred space. It feels like we're on the cusp of something monumental. Rachel nodded, her eyes alight. I can feel it too. It's as if the very walls of this hall are ready to burst with answers. With their hearts unified by prayer, they settled around the illuminated prayer wall. Mary illuminated a small candle, its flickering flame casting gentle shadows. Let us invite God into this moment. May our thoughts rise like incense, fragrant and sincere. As they closed their eyes, Mary's thoughts flooded with gratitude, the names written on the wall swirling in her mind like vibrant colors in a tapestry. Each name represented a story, a soul yearning for deliverance, and each gathered prayer hung in that sacred space, eager for divine touch. A hush fell as they breathed in unison, their hearts aligning. And when it happened, a gentle breeze swept through the hall, brushing past their cheeks, almost like a whisper from heaven. The candle flickered excitedly, illuminating the room with a soft glow as if God himself leaned in to listen. Mary felt a profound stirring within her. What if we not only pray for miracles? What if we start becoming vessels of those miracles? She suggested, her voice steady yet filled with wonder. Muriel, always the quietest, lifted her head, a spark in her eyes. You mean stepping out in faith? Being an answer to our own prayers? Yes. Mary exclaimed, the spirit within her igniting. Imagine if we engage directly with those we pray for. Let us not just stand by in hope but move forward with love. The room buzzed with enthusiasm, and ideas flowed like a rushing river. Each woman began to share ways they could directly support the lives represented on their blossoming prayer wall. From baking meals for families in need to organizing a drive to gather resources, each suggestion dripped with faith and action. As they brainstormed, Mary's thoughts drifted to Father Thomas's words. Prepare yourself for the unexpected. She pondered what divine surprises lay before them. Their prayers felt like seeds in fertile soil, waiting to burst into vibrant life. Suddenly, amidst the discussions, Mary noticed something unusual. A name on the prayer wall, that of a woman none of them knew well. Margaret was suddenly aglow, almost radiant. The light streamed from the paper, bathing the nearby wall in gold. Look! Mary gasped, a mixture of awe and trepidation dancing in her chest. What is happening? The women turned, their voices hushed in reverence. The warmth around them intensified, bringing an unexplainable peace that flooded the hall. Rachel gasped, "Could it be a sign? Are we being guided toward her?" Mary's heart raced. "We must reach out. This is the moment. God is calling us to act." Gathering her faith, she took a step closer to the wall. The air crackled with energy as she brushed her fingers lightly over Margaret's name, a prayer escaping in a whisper, asking for guidance. In that instant, as she released her intention, a gentle shift grounded them, echoes of laughter, hopes ignited, lives intertwined. What started as a prayer for healing transformed into a divine partnership. "Are we prepared for what this means?" one woman murmured softly, filled with wonder. The question hung in the air, resonating deep within their spirits. And in that quiet moment, they realized that their journey was only beginning. With the promise of transformation ahead, an adventure awaited them. What unexpected miracles would unfold? In eager anticipation, ripples of excitement stirred within the group, as they stood on the precipice of revelation, poised to step into the divine mystery that awaited just beyond the horizon of their prayers. The candle's glow flickered as if in response to Mary's silent prayer. The atmosphere was charged with expectation, a divine alignment that brought each woman closer to the heart of God. The luminous name of Margaret seemed to pulse with life, beckoning them towards a deeper understanding of their purpose. Mary took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the moment. Imagine if this is just the beginning. What if each name represented not only a call for help but an opportunity for us to share love? Her voice rang out, filling the hall with hope. Rachel shifted forward, eyes shining with enthusiasm. What if Margaret needs us in ways we can't even imagine? Maybe her story is woven into ours, and we've yet to discover it. The women leaned in, a circle of united hearts ready to embrace the unknown. Each suggestion bore the fruit of faith, and Mary felt the room grow warmer. They began sharing personal gifts, talents that could shine light on Margaret's darkness. One spoke about organizing a community gathering, bringing joy to lonely hearts. Another suggested starting a prayer chain that included not only Margaret but others in need of the Lord's touch. Suddenly, a profound stillness settled, thick and palpable. The wind outside picked up, rustling leaves, echoing the stirring in their souls. "We can be the hands and feet of Jesus," Mary whispered, her gaze fixed on the glowing name. "What if God has placed us here tonight to be His messengers?" In that sacred moment, a flicker of understanding passed among them. This was not just about praying, it was about stepping into action, allowing transformation to flow through them. No longer passive observers, they became the architects of hope. "What if we created a plan?" Muriel suggested, her voice steady. "We can divide tasks. We'll create a team to reach out to Margaret directly. We'll show her she is not alone." The room erupted with murmurs of agreement and excitement. Each woman felt a spark igniting within, a commitment to love deeply and profoundly. Mary felt tears trickle down her cheeks as the realization hit her. This is how God works, isn't it? We pray for miracles and often expect them to come from somewhere far away, but the truth is the miracles are born in our actions, in our willingness to love. "Do you think Margaret knows we're here?" Rachel asked, her brow furrowed in curiosity. "What if she feels the prayer wall's energy? What if she knows we're coming?" "Maybe she has been waiting for this," Muriel added, the light reflecting in her eyes. "Maybe her spirit is yearning for connection, just like ours." As they spoke, the golden glow surrounding Margaret's name intensified, illuminating the faces of the women, as if to affirm their thoughts. Each woman could feel their hearts racing. The thrill of divine purpose electrified the atmosphere. "Let us pray for her tonight," Mary suggested, suddenly filled with hope and courage. "Let us ask for God's direction, discern what she needs, and prepare ourselves to be that answer." They bowed their heads, hearts entwined in a sacred murmuring of prayer. In the stillness, it felt as though a door opened to another realm, one where miracles awaited just beyond reach, filled with love, healing, and renewal. With hands clasped and spirits uplifted, they laid their requests before the throne of grace. In those moments of surrender, they felt the weight of the world lifting, replaced by a radiant buoyancy that filled their souls. As they finished praying, Mary lifted her head, a new awareness washing over her. We're on the brink of something beautiful, something divine, but we need to trust the journey. What might happen next? The silence held a promise. It was there, in that shared breath of anticipation, that they realized the true adventure had only just begun. Would Margaret answer their call? What awaited them as they stepped into this new chapter of their lives? They could only wait and wonder, ready to embrace whatever divine surprises lay ahead. As the candle flickered gently, casting playful shadows on the walls, the women lingered in a sacred hush. It was a moment heavy with expectation, a tapestry of longing and hope woven tightly around them. They could almost hear the whispers of heaven echoing in their hearts, spurring them onward into the unknown. Mary broke the silence, her voice soft yet firm. We have remarked on the power of connection tonight. But what if there is more? What if God is preparing something extraordinary not just for us, but for everyone connected to Margaret? Rachel, still visibly ignited by inspiration, nodded fervently. Exactly. What if our actions create ripples? What if bringing joy to Margaret also opens a floodgate of healing for others in our community? Every heartbeat in that room seemed to resonate with purpose. The women exchanged glances, each one realizing that they were on the cusp of something much larger than a simple well-meaning prayer. Together, they formed a collective heartbeat, echoing the intentions of their souls. I can gather people for a gathering, suggested Lisa, her excitement bubbling over. We can combine stories, laughter, and prayer. Imagine the warmth. Imagine how loved she will feel. Yes. Muriel chimed in. We can create an invitation that invites God's presence, something heartfelt that calls people to love like He does. Hope surged through the room as they envisioned what this gathering could become. The golden light seemed to envelop them, wrapping around their dreams like a warm embrace. They were each dreaming brighter, their hearts collectively bursting with divine possibilities. As the plan took shape, a question arose within Mary, an unvoiced fear that nagged gently at the corners of her mind. What if we reach out and she doesn't respond? What if she is withdrawn? Sometimes it takes just one voice to break the silence, Rachel said, her voice steady. Imagine how many people feel the same way. Our invites can be a lifeline. Muriel's eyes sparkled with conviction, a light of understanding blossoming inside her. Think of the lost sheep. One can be found with the love of many. We are united in love. Margaret cannot resist that. The energy in the hall surged as they let their fears transform into prayers of boldness. They began crafting messages brimming with encouragement and warmth. Each name in the prayer wall not only represented a cry for help but became a testament to the love that flowed abundantly in the room. Let us also create a space where others can share their stories. Lisa interjected. We can find strength in one another. It doesn't have to be a one-way street. We can grow together. As they shared ideas, tears sparkled in Mary's eyes. God is in this, isn't He? He is giving us a chance to collaborate on a miracle. And maybe, just maybe, this is how He reveals His purpose to us. By walking in faith together. The atmosphere hummed with energy, a divine electricity flowing through them, igniting each heart with the desire to be vessels of hope. The women knew they were embarking on a communal mission, threading their own stories together into a wider narrative of faith. Just then, the wind picked up again outside, its sound like the whisper of angels. They sensed it as an affirmation, a sign that they were heard, that heaven was smiling down upon their collective act of love. Yet, nestled within their fervor lingered a lingering uncertainty. What happens when they reach out? Would the light they shared ignite Margaret's spirit? Or would fear overshadow their efforts? Deep down, they wondered if they were ready for what lay ahead. Their excitement was ripe with expectation, but the new questions hovering just beyond the glow stirred their hearts anew. What divine revelations awaited them? Through what transformative experiences would their connection unfold next? As they prepared to leave, a gentle reminder echoed in their souls. They were about to step into the divine mystery of their calling. The next chapter was about to be written, and only time would unfold the blessings that awaited them. What would they discover in the journey ahead? Would their love bring a miracle? With the candlelight still warm in the room, the women left, hearts bouncing with the rhythm of faith. Each step out the door felt like a movement towards destiny, a small sacrifice of their comfort for the promise of a greater good. As they made their way home, whispers of divine possibilities danced in the air around them. Mary felt the peace of the evening settle upon her like a soft blanket. She inhaled deeply, letting the crisp night air fill her lungs, even as questions echoed in her heart. What if they faced rejection? What if their beautiful intentions fell flat? It was easy to be swept away in hope, but reality lurked uninvited at the edges of her faith. Do not worry about tomorrow, a soft voice echoed within her. It sounded so familiar, coaxing her towards trust. Could it be the comfort of God guiding her? Meanwhile, Rachel walked slightly ahead, her footsteps quickening as thoughts of Margaret filled her mind. An image of Margaret's face, brightening with joy, flashed in her mind's eye. What if this gathering became the spark that reignited Margaret's spirit? Rachel clutched her purse tightly, her resolve strengthening. I can do this, she murmured, feeling the warmth of determination surround her. This wasn't about just Margaret. It was about transforming lives unexpectedly. As they each returned to their homes, was there a gentle divine nudge in their hearts urging them to finalize plans for their gathering? Lisa couldn't shake her excitement as she sat at her kitchen table, pen poised over notepad. With every stroke, she felt as though she were writing a love letter not just to Margaret but to everyone who felt lost or unseen. The words flowed freely, infused with kindness and intentionality. Muriel found herself restlessly pacing in her living room, her spirit alight with purpose. What if we had music? She thought. Hymns that stir up joy and connection. Her heart quickened at the thought of shared voices lifting high in praise, creating a tapestry of worship that could weave the community closer together. Every chord could cast away shadows, lighting the way for those still searching for hope. As days passed, the women began to gather. The room brightened not just with the golden light but with laughter, tears, and shared stories. Margaret was filled with love but was quietly anxious about stepping into the light again. They each brought their fears and doubts, mingling them together into faith-filled prayers. In this sacred circle, each woman offered a piece of herself, pressing into the holy space where vulnerability birthed strength. Let us write our fears down, Mary suggested one day, her voice barely a whisper above the gentle hum of prayer. Then let us burn them, leaving them to God. They formed a small fire in a safe enclosure, one by one laying their fears to rest. As the flames flickered, they watched the smoke rise and combined their prayers for Margaret into an invisible thread reaching towards heaven. In the days that followed, whispers of hope spread through their community. The invitations found their way to many, sparking interest and curiosity. It felt like the winds of change were sweeping in, stirring hearts, and drawing them towards something miraculous. But even amidst the anticipation, doubts still circled around the edges. Would it truly resonate? Would everyone arrive? Was Margaret ready to embrace the love waiting just for her? It was a mixture of excitement and fear that bound them together. Each moment held a promise yet to be fulfilled. They had stepped into something sacred, yet in their hearts swirled the uncertainty of what would come next. As they sat together one evening recapping the days leading up to the gathering, a single thought hung in the air: what if love, when poured out, opens doors that haven't been imagined yet? With every smile, every shared moment, and every prayer released into the universe, they continued to abandon the past. What awaited them on the other side of this divine endeavor? Their hearts were poised and open, an expectant canvas for God's masterpiece. Would they witness a transformation, not just in Margaret but in themselves? The days marched on, a gentle rhythm like the soft waves of a quiet sea. Each day brought them closer to the gathering, yet it felt like eternity. The air was thick with both excitement and worry. When dawn broke on the morning of their event, it felt miraculous, as if the very heavens had given a nod of approval. As Mary prepared her home for the gathering, she placed flowers in vibrant vases, creating a canvas of color that mirrored the hearts of the women who would soon gather. The scent of freshly brewed tea wafted through the house, mingling with the aromatic spices of baked goods cooling on the counter. She caught herself humming a familiar hymn, one that had always made her spirit soar. It tugged at her heart as if reminding her that, despite the chaos of uncertainties, God's presence was like a gentle breeze, steady and uplifting. If God moves in this, there's no stopping it, she whispered to herself, filled with quiet confidence. Meanwhile, Rachel bustled about in her cozy kitchen, nervously glancing at her watch. Time seemed to mock her as the moment drew nearer. Despite her preparation, doubts nagged at her heart. Was she enough? Could she be the one to inspire Margaret? Thoughts swirled like leaves caught in the autumn wind, but deep down, a flicker of hope ignited. She took a deep breath and prayed silently. Lord, let this be your work. At Muriel's home, she and Lisa worked side by side, gathering the final touches. The sound of laughter punctuated the stillness, wrapping around them like a warm embrace. They shared snippets from their lives, weaving together stories of struggles transformed into testimonies of grace. Do you think Margaret will feel this love? Muriel asked, her expression shifting from anticipation to concern. We will light the path for her, Lisa replied, her tone resolute. Love has a power we've yet to see unfold. As the hour approached, the women dressed in their finest yet simplest clothes, ready to invite others into their sacred gathering. Lisa curled her hair and put on just the right shade of lipstick, but she felt it was the beauty within that truly mattered, believing that love and intention radiated brighter than any outward appearance. Margaret arrived later than planned, her steps hesitant. In that moment, the world around her faded away, and she felt the hand of God guiding her heart forth. The women turned, their expressions transforming into radiant joy as they welcomed her. The gathering commenced with a soft prayer. They expressed gratitude for the strength of their bond and the challenges that had brought them together. With each story shared, hearts began to open, walls crumbling as vulnerability replaced fear. Laughter bubbled up freely, mixing with heartfelt tears, creating a kaleidoscope of emotions that filled the room. In the middle of the circle, Margaret faced them, her voice trembling as she said, "I didn't think I was worthy of all this love." The words hung in the air, a poignant reminder of her struggle. Suddenly, Mary brought forth a small mirror. "Let us remind Margaret of who she is," she declared, holding it up. One by one, the women spoke words of love, truth, and identity over her, transforming her doubt into strength. "Margaret, you are beloved!" Rachel exclaimed. "You shine brightly and your light is meant to reach others." As each woman spoke, Margaret's eyes glimmered with unshed tears. She felt something shift within her, like a door creaking open, revealing the light that had long been dimmed. But just as hope began to rise, an unexpected shadow flickered at the edge of their gathering. Someone had lingering doubts, a quiet voice, perhaps someone from the outside looking in. But could they truly embark on this path, allowing their hearts to be open, potentially facing heartbreak again? What awaited them as they continued? Did love have the divine power to carry them through, or would fear trip them up once again? As the meeting continued, a sense of urgency filled the air. Each story shared drew them closer, but somewhere, a still small voice whispered, urging them to take the leap into the unknown. Their hearts beat with expectancy, aware that a transformation had already begun. Would they unlock the mysteries of faith, hope, and love together, or would uncertainty silence their divine mission? A question hung in the air, waiting patiently to be answered. What happens when ordinary women, propelled by love, discover an extraordinary purpose? The room radiated warmth, a tangible atmosphere of faith and possibility. Margaret held the small mirror, eyes wide with emotion. Each compliment poured over her like rain, washing away doubts accumulated over years. As she looked at her reflection, she didn't just see her physical self, she began to perceive her potential, illuminated by the love of the women surrounding her. "It's amazing, I feel like I'm rediscovering myself," she whispered, bewildered by the tenderness wrapped around her like a cloak. The women nodded, each heart swelling with joy, sensing the breakthrough happening before them. Mary, with her gentle spirit, felt compelled to lead the gathering deeper. "Let us create a sacred space where we can hear from God," she suggested. They formed a circle, holding hands tightly. "Father, show us how we can walk alongside Margaret. Let your love flow through us." the moment hallowed, and silence enveloped them. A hush passed through the air, as if even the world outside paused to listen. In that stillness, swirling thoughts fell away like autumn leaves. Each life touched by God's grace converged at that sacred moment. "I can still hear the doubts," Lisa said suddenly, her voice quivering slightly. "Not just from outside, but from within ourselves. We still wonder, can we fully embrace this calling?" The others nodded, acknowledging unspoken fears. The vulnerability shared only deepened their bond. Rachel, always raw in her honesty, confessed, "Sometimes, I fear that I'll fail to support Margaret the way she needs. What if love isn't enough?" Margaret squeezed her hand. "Even in those moments of questioning, I feel this love. Just being here reminds me that we all bear pieces of God's light. Together, we can break walls." Her words breathed life into the gathering, igniting a flicker of hope. And so, they began to share their stories, the serenade of laughter painting the air with colors missed for too long. Each personal struggle transformed into a testimony woven with grace. Life's trials felt lighter when laid bare, as if shared burdens were unshackled in real time. As stories flowed, Margaret felt a surge of empowerment course through her veins, coaxing her to speak her truth. "I've spent too long hiding from the world, thinking I was too broken to be loved," she admitted, a tremor of defiance in her voice. "But I want to believe I'm worthy of this love and purpose." The courage of her revelation left the room buzzing with a sacred energy, hearts beating as one. Mary chimed in, "Love has a way of illuminating what is hidden. It's okay to feel afraid, but do not let fear chain you. We are called to stand together in faith." Yet, even amid the powerful moments, an undercurrent of apprehension lingered. A thought tugged at the edges of their collective consciousness: what would happen beyond this circle? As if sensing the air shift, Lisa broke the silence. "We're talking about real transformation, but the world outside this room can be harsh. What if we can't carry this light outside?" Each woman held their breath, absorbing the weight of her words. They were embarking on a journey rooted in love, but the impending reality felt like storm clouds rolling in. Margaret's gaze settled on each face around her, their mixed expressions a testament to both hope and fear. "Let us take this light into our lives. I don't want to keep it confined here. We need to step forward in faith together." Their hearts aligned, yet unanswered was the question echoing through the chamber, reverberating across their spirits. Could love truly shield them as they ventured beyond the safety of this sacred circle? With anticipation hanging thick in the air, they leaned into the challenge, ready to unlock new paths of divine purpose. What awaited them in the embrace of love led by God? Only time would tell if they could break through the chains of past doubt and embrace a transformative journey. The evening of the gathering blossomed into life. The gentle chatter swirled in the air, wrapping around Mary and her friends. They transformed their cozy space into a haven of warmth and love, a radiant sanctuary beckoning Margaret home. The atmosphere felt electric, the spirit present, openly hovering, awaiting the miracles about to unfold. Margaret stepped into the room, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and trepidation. As the door swung open, the women's faces lit up with joy, their smiles inviting her to step into a circle of support. "Welcome, Margaret! You are so loved!" they chorused, each word wrapping around her like a soft embrace. "Thank you for this," she whispered, the weight of her past lifting just a bit. In that moment, the flickering candlelight seemed to shine brighter, reflecting the hope pooling in her heart. As they gathered in a circle, Mary led them into prayer, her voice steady, inviting God's presence among them. "Father, let your love flow through us tonight. May each heart be open to receive and share your divine light." Silence enveloped the room, thick with reverence, as they felt a wave of togetherness washing over them. After the prayer, Mary turned to Margaret. "We've been waiting for you. Your story matters, and tonight is about you finding your voice again. Share whatever's on your heart." Margaret hesitated, the raw vulnerability of the moment shifting her gaze downward. "I've always felt unseen. Like no one truly knew who I was. But being here, it feels like you all see me." Tears brimmed in her eyes as a weight began to dissolve within. Everyone nodded, their hearts synchronizing with her truth. "Margaret, You are worthy of love, Rachel affirmed, stepping closer. We see your potential, and we're ready to walk alongside you. Let us help you uncover it. At that moment, the air shimmered, the sacred space warming as if heaven had wrapped its arms around them. Each woman began to share stories about their own struggles, the shadows that had stifled their voices, the wounds that had seemed insurmountable. With every shared experience, a thread of connection tightened among them, a tapestry of resilience and hope. Every tear I shed is a part of my journey, said Muriel, her voice breaking slightly. And your tears too, Margaret, are precious to God. They're a part of letting go, a step toward the freedom we all seek. Amidst the flow of heartfelt exchanges, Mary felt a stirring within. What if we each write down the gifts we see in one another? We can create a wall of affirmation. Her eyes sparkled with excitement as she imagined the fruits of declaring love. The women erupted in joyful agreement, gathering paper, pens, and a rich assortment of colors, ready to honor each other's essence. As they penned their thoughts, aspirations turned into words, words into declarations, and declarations into a realm of divine connection. As names and compliments began to fill the space, Margaret felt her heart resonate with the beauty surrounding her. I can see it now. I always thought I was too broken, she exclaimed, tears of joy streaming down her face. But I feel the pieces coming back together. This is what love feels like. The others rushed to envelope her in a gentle embrace, sending waves of unconditional support her way. This is just the start, Lisa said tenderly. Not just for you, but for all of us. Together, we rise. But just as the momentum began building, an uneasy whisper in the back of Mary's heart echoed louder. Would they really step outside with this boldness? Had faith appeared strong enough to withstand the potential rejection from the world outside their circle? Yet Margaret, feeling encouraged, pressed on. Let us take this love and spread it beyond ourselves. Let us not just keep it confined. Let it reach our neighbors, our families, the village. With God's help, we can ignite a transformation. A palpable energy surged through the gathering. Each woman dared to imagine extending their newfound connection into the fabric of their community, weaving a stronger tapestry of faith. As the discussions continued, Margaret suddenly suggested, let us host a community gathering in the park, invite everyone. We can share stories and blessings, making room for more connections. Excitement bubbled over as plans began to take flesh. We'll serve food. Have music. Encourage prayer. Rachel chimed in, visions taking root like spring blossoms. Mary felt overwhelmed, a swirl of gratitude, joy, and apprehension gripped her heart. This is it. This is the moment we've been waiting for, ladies. We will let our joy overflow and reach those buried in darkness. That night, as they shared intentions and laughter, the collective spirit elevated each of them. The evening blossomed into a celebration of love and purpose, transcending their fears. They glanced at each other, resoluteness shimmering in their eyes, a promise sealed by hands held tight. As the gathering began to wind down, Margaret breathed a sigh of relief and joy. I never imagined stepping into my voice would feel like this, she reflected aloud. A powerful click of clarity swept over her. Together, we are warriors of love. Our unity has strength. And with that, dawn broke upon their hearts, illuminating a path filled with divine potential. They stood poised and ready, anticipation swirling around them, awaiting the transformative journey ahead. But with each step toward action came a question: would they trust God's guidance and embrace the journey ahead, even as doubt loomed nearby? This time, they were not just looking at their own hearts. They were primed to unleash God's vibrant grace into the world. The ripples of transformation extended far beyond their circle. And as darkness threatened to retreat before the growing light, something miraculous began to unfold. Now, before you move on from this story, here is something you must do. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on powerful faith stories that could change your life. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help others discover this divine journey. Comment below your thoughts and testimonies about this beautiful ending. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who are seeking hope and transformation. You need to be part of spreading this message. because only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting faith in action. Don't wait even one more second.